Welcome back to Behind the Caution Tape. I'm your host, CrashLit. There was definitely a lot going on in USC athletics last week that we will cover. We will also cover everything coming up this week in USC athletics here on Behind the Caution Tape. And of course, as always, before you do, be sure to check out my new merch line, my CrashLit Forever merch line, my collaboration with the USC bookstore. There's 6 pieces. This hat, there's the jacket, the long sleeve tee, the jersey, the beanie, and the sweats. So 6 different items to choose from. The link will be below in the description of this episode, so be sure to check that out. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. Leave a comment or a thumbs up. Be sure to, whether you're on video or audio, if you're watching on video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel at CrashLit. And if you're an audio listener, be sure to subscribe to me on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And be sure to leave a review and really support this podcast, since, it's obviously a lot of fun to do, but, really, love seeing all this love and support that y'all have been giving me. It means the world to me. And finally, be sure to check me out on social media. Follow me on social media at CrashLit, primarily on Instagram. That's where I'm posting all my latest updates and what I'll be attending and just everything going on in my life. So that's the best place to find me, is definitely Instagram, but also follow me on X, Facebook, TikTok, all those other ones. I should be there. I am there. So yeah, just follow me, give me a follow there. And yeah, finally, the last thing is, if you haven't already gotten a chance, be sure to check out my interview last week that aired with USC Spanish play-by-play radio broadcaster Harry Ruiz. He joined me for a one-on-one conversation right here on Behind the Caution Tape. We had a great time chopping it up and talking about his career and just how he really is trying to impact and, really help expand USC's fan base into the Spanish-speaking communities. So I thought it was a really impactful interview. I'll definitely be posting some sound bites on my socials in the coming weeks as well. So that's everything going on, and now let's get into what is happening. So USC has announced that they will have a Fan Appreciation Day on April 11th. It was announced last week. So it'll be held in the Brittingham Field near Heritage Hall to start 9 a.m. Pacific time, with just some different activities and photo opportunities. And then around 10 a.m., there'll be a team will be available to there'll be players available for autographs and photos. So that'll be cool for about 1 hour. And then right after will be the swim with Mike across the street. So that's basically what's going on. And then obviously they're trying to turn into just a day to hype up both USC baseball and lacrosse, since they both have games that week. I'll talk more about next week, since obviously it's coming up pretty quickly, and seems like that's what they're doing in place of a spring game. And I just gotta say it, I said this on the Voice of College Football, which you should check me out there. I'm there every Tuesday night with Ethan Inman and Nolan Ezett. The thing we talk about, that, as for those of you who don't know, I'm in Virginia now, and I work with Cosmic Baseball. And a big part of our mission is to really engage with fans. So I think this is a really smart opportunity for USC to really follow up on this and really make something happen. So excited to see how this turns out, even though unlikely I'll be there, since obviously I got work and all that. But that did not stop me last week from driving down to Columbia and watching USC play South Carolina in the second round of March Madness. You heard that right. Last week, right after taping, I got in my car and drove for 5.5 hours to watch USC play South Carolina. And thank you again to Woohoo Sue and USC Athletic Department for helping get me tickets last minute and helping me have a great experience there. And thanks everybody for your hospitality. I had a blast. So wanted to just talk about that. Yeah. So since I was out here and since I don't work on Mondays now, I was like, let's do it. Let's make it happen. There was once I knew was a possibility. Let's be honest, people, there was no way I was talking myself out of that. You guys all know me. You know how I take any chance I can. Hell, even when I went home about a month ago just to get a few things taken care of before the tour started. Of course, I was at 2 basketball games back home. So pretty much, yeah, I had an opportunity. I was definitely going to capitalize on it. But definitely a tough game for the Trojans, though, in that one, especially with just definitely a brutal way to end the season, losing 101-61 against the Gamecocks in Columbia. And overall, I will say though, even though their fan base is completely delusional about who the real USC is, they were some of the nicest people that one of the nicest fan bases I've ever been around, and their hospitality was just first rate. I will give them credit there. Columbia was a beautiful college town. I had a great time, and also great to see former USC assistant coach Wendell Farrow. You guys might know him as Delly, who is now on the South Carolina staff under Don Staley. So wishing him nothing but the best in his future endeavors, even though I do miss seeing him on the USC sidelines. It was great to, briefly wave hi to him. But anyways, on to the game now. So London Jones led with 20 points and 4 rebounds, and Jazzy Davidson led with 2 assists. So really, this game just started out brutal. It's South Carolina just dominating USC in the first quarter. And yeah, USC just struggled, played kind of pretty sloppy, and just never truly recovered from it. There were a couple times it looked like maybe they'd get some momentum, but then just the Gamecocks were just all over it. So it was just a brutal way for the season to end. But that brings USC's season to an end, and definitely, it was a tough season. I mean, no getting around it, but all things considered with what happened with Juju Watkins, definitely impressed with how resilient this team was and how they just didn't give up even when things got tough, when they had some tough losing streaks. It seemed like they could have easily folded, but nope, they definitely had their moments where they shined, and they really, showed that. And definitely, like I said, I'm really glad, that I was able to make it down to Columbia, then drive right back up to get ready for work and everything the next day. So, but still have no regrets about that. But still, so USC ultimately finished the season 18-14 with a second round exit in March Madness, and really it now comes up to USC getting ready for next year with Juju Watkins coming back, and then also having big freshman recruits come in, most notably, obviously, Sanaya Hall and Sataya Fagan. So excited to see just how 2026-27 is going to look. That's a real, natty or bust year for this team. So it's going to be really exciting. Obviously, open the season in Vegas. I think it's in early November. I'm blanking on the date right now, but they will open against UNLV in the Hall of Fame series. So excited for that one. Depending on how things are going, might have to go to that one. I already put in my calendar, so we'll see how it all goes, obviously. But obviously, there's that one. Then the other confirmed game will be the rematch against South Carolina in Greenville this time for the Real SC series. Last year's at Crypto.com Arena. Now it'll be in Greenville. So interested to see how all those matchups go and just everything. But really excited for this upcoming season is going to be really exciting. But also it's going to have some high expectations now that Watkins is back. We'll move on to baseball now. We went 2-2 on the week, having a midweek 12-4 loss to Oregon State last Tuesday with key performances from Ben Cushney, who only allowed 1 walk in 2 innings of work and didn't give up a hit or a run, and then Dean Carpentier, who had a 3-run blast and 2 walks, going 1 for 2. So just the Beavers came out hot, scoring 9 runs across the first 4 innings before USC got 4 in the bottom of the 4th. But then after that, USC failed to score again, and Oregon State got 3 more insurance runs in the top of the 9th. And it also happened to be former USC Trojan Jacob Galloway's return to Dato Field for the first time since his freshman year, and obviously his first time facing his former program since he departed after his sophomore year after the 2024 season. But then USC heads to College Park in Maryland and takes 2 against the Terrapins. An 11-10 win on Friday, with big performances from Augie Lopez and Maximo Martinez. A 6-4 loss on Saturday against the Terrapins, where Grant Cavell, having still went 6 innings, allowed 7 runs, gave up 7 hits and 3 runs, a walk, but had 5 Ks. And a 14-4 run rule win in 8 on yesterday. Augie Lopez continued to do well, went 2 for 6. Yesterday had 6 RBIs and 2 home runs, and 2 home runs. And then Kevin Takuchi also going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Sax Matson only allowing 1 walk and 3 K, and only allowing 1 walk, no hits, no runs, and striking out 3, and then Gavin Lauridsen pitching 3 innings, only allowing 1 hit, 1 run, and 2 strikeouts, along with 3 walks. So really, the games were kind of USC got up early in the first game before the Terrapins closed the deficit on Friday. Saturday, Maryland got up in the 7th after outscoring USC 3-1. And then USC was just in full control on Sunday and ended the game an inning early. So the Trojans now sit at 26-3 on the year, 10-2 in Big Ten play. They're in third right now just because of percentages. Nebraska has played 3 games less. So Nebraska, I think they're 8-1. Their percentage is just above USC's right now. But the Trojans got up to number 12 in last week's D1 baseball rankings, and we'll see how they do. Obviously, tough to go on the road for sure, no matter who you're playing. And obviously, Oregon State's very good. They've been a very consistent team. There's a reason, even though as tough as the whole realignment situation was to them and how brutal that was to their program, there's a reason that they were able to, put together an independent schedule over the last 2 years and, still be able to, be a top program. And they probably will be in the new Pac-12 next year. So up next for the Trojans, they take on 16-9 UCSB back at Dato Field. That'll be at 7 p.m. tomorrow night on Big Ten Plus, 7 p.m. Pacific time. As I always make sure to clarify, all the times I state are Pacific time unless I state otherwise. Even though I'm on the East Coast, I just go with the time. I go with the Pacific time zone since that's where USC is. And then after that, USC has a 3-game series at UCLA from Friday to Sunday. That'll be 6 p.m. on Friday and 2 p.m. on Saturday. Both those games will be on Big Ten Plus, but then a 3 p.m. Sunday game on the Big Ten Network. So excited for these teams to get some exposure on BTN, which will be exciting. The Bruins, number 1 team in the country right now, are 25-2 on the year and 12-0 in Big Ten play. So a tough game against the Gauchos. Andrew Checketts always has good programs. But then USC is going to have to face the number 1 team in the country on the road, and definitely an environment that's going to have Bruins fans riled up. I went to a non-conference game between these teams last year, Jackie Robinson, and boy, it was sold out. But really, great environment to watch a game. Definitely, parking's not the best, but still a good environment for sure, especially when it's packed out like that for big rivalry game. So obviously excited to see how this one turns out. I'll be on the road, so won't be able to make it to anything this week, but like I said, I'll be keeping my eyes out for anything I can make. And if I do, I will let y'all know. Little secret. I'll mention this probably later, but I'll tell y'all now while we're on the subject. If I'm going to be at a game, I will upload the game day graphic that the team puts out the day of the game onto my Instagram story. If you see that graphic on my story, that means that I will be at that game. So just a clue for anyone who is trying to figure out how to know if I'll be at something. That's how I will publicly confirm my attendance at a game. So we now move on to men's volleyball, who saw former USC setter and program alum Josh Friedman return to Galen Center when the Menlo Oaks came to town against the 4th-ranked men's volleyball program, where USC got 2 3-0 wins against Menlo, 25-14, 25-11, 25-20 on Friday, where Cooper Keene led with 13 kills, Dylan Klein led with 3 aces, Tiago Zamprogno led with 6 blocks, Caleb Blanchette 17 assists, and Keene led with 8 digs. So USC dominated Menlo, but the Oaks did put up a fight in the 3rd set, obviously, going 25-20. And then USC got a win against Menlo, another win against Menlo the following night, 25-21, 25-16, 25-11, where Dylan Klein led with 10 kills, Noah Roberts 2 aces, Zamprogno and Keene had 5 blocks each. Brian Sprague led with 31 assists and also 12 digs. So the first set was a bit of a fight between the two teams. You can tell that score, but then USC can really controlled and dominated the next 2, and then was able to really utilize its depth and get younger guys reps, which I think is definitely good. But that's probably it. Like, the schedule's going to be it. And crazy to think there's only 3 weeks left in the regular season for men's volleyball before the MPSF tournament and the NCAAs. But for the Trojans, they will take on, so they have 3 opponents left. They host Stanford this week. They go to Provo to take on BYU for 2 matches, and then they end the season hosting Pepperdine and then playing the Waves on the road for the final match. So start with Stanford, who is coming to Galen Center this weekend. It'll be Friday at 7 p.m. and Saturday at 5 p.m., both on Big Ten Plus. So Stanford had a rough go during non-conference play, but they've kind of picked it up since. The Cardinal are 9-10 on the year, and Cardinal are 9-10 on the year and 6-2 in conference play. And USC also doing pretty well in conference play now at 14-3 overall, 6-2 in conference play. So really USC's got to come ready for the Cardinal because they're starting to heat up at just the right time with the end of the season coming and about 3 weeks remaining left in the season. Move on to beach volleyball, who's now 17-3 on the year, or now 21-4 on the year, and could drop a couple spots in the polls this week, where they went down to Austin and won 5-0 against 16th ranked FAU and 4-1 against 17th ranked North Florida. Then the following day got a split, beating 12th ranked LSU 5-0, but then losing 3-2 to 6th ranked Texas later in the day. So now Texas has beat USC twice this year. UCLA and Florida State have won each over USC. So the Trojans now sit at 21-4. Could slide a spot or two, but up next, they'll head to the Best in the West event at Main Beach in Laguna Beach. So not far from my hometown at all, just one town over. On Friday, USC will face Long Beach State, who's 18-6, and Cal Poly, who's 20-2. Long Beach State will be at 10 a.m., Cal Poly at 2:30 p.m. And then on Saturday, USC will take on 21-2 Stanford at 9:30 a.m. and then 18-3 UCLA at 12:30 p.m. So some big opportunities coming up for USC, especially with this season starting to come to an end. Lacrosse, meanwhile, had a tough 15-8 loss at home on Saturday against Rutgers. That now puts the Trojans under 500 for the first time this season. Reese Robinson and Anna Regan led with 2 goals each. Annie Shields had 5 saves and 15 goals allowed, playing the whole game while taking the decision as a loss. Rutgers had a period where they scored 7 unanswered goals during both that overlap the first and second quarters, and USC never truly was able to recover from it. So USC now sits at 6-7 on the year. And no, I will not be doing that. That joke needs to die. So don't even go there with that. That said, though, probably might get a couple 6-7 comments in the response now to it. So have at it if you will. But I am not doing the 6-7. I refuse to do it. Once Arkansas's AD did it, it should have killed it. But somehow 6-7 is out here still thriving. It's still surviving, tragically. So USC now sits at 6-7 on the year, 0-5 in Big Ten play. They're 9th of 9 in the conference, 5 straight losses to open Big Ten play. And like I said, first time below 500 this season. So up next for USC, they will take on head coach Lindsey Monday's alma mater, which is at Northwestern, on Saturday at noon. That'll be on Big Ten Plus. The Wildcats are 8-3 on the season and 2-1 in Big Ten play. And then before taking a break from conference play for a non-conference matchup against Central Michigan, who's 2-9 on the year. That'll be on the road. That'll be in Central Michigan. That'll be on Monday at noon, and you can watch that on Chippewa's All Access. So you'll just have to go to the USCTrojans.com website, go to the lacrosse page, scroll down to the schedule, and you should see a link to watch it there. So might tune in for that. We'll see just how everything's going. But USC heads back on the road before they're ending the season on the West Coast, and they need to get momentum before heading into the Big Ten tournament if they want to have any chance of making it into the NCAAs. At this point, they probably need to win the Big Ten tournament. Losing 5 straight like this does not help your cause at all. We'll move on to women's water polo, who has been having a lot of success lately. I think they've now won 10 straight, if I saw that correctly, but they're the number 1 team in the country after beating Stanford, and followed that up with a 14-10 win against 4th-ranked Cal at home on Saturday, with Emily Ostis and Rachel Gazaniga leading with 3 goals each, and then Anna Reed had 9 saves in the goal and allowed 10 goals playing the whole game. So it was a back and forth game that saw USC hang on against the Bears. So USC sits at 20-2 on the year, 5-0 in MPSF play, likely to remain at number 1 and have an opportunity to control their destiny and win the regular season MPSF title outright. They were in this position last year, but ultimately ended up in a 3-way tie. And the same thing could happen this week. If they fail to beat UCLA, the Bruins are 18-2 on the year, 4-1 in MPSF play. This will be on Saturday at 1 p.m., probably on overnight.com. This will be senior day against the Bruins and a chance to win the title outright. Otherwise, it could be a 2 or 3-way tie with a loss and also that number 1 seed for the MPSF tournament, which is critical because you only have to play 2 games then if you can win out and make it to the final. So really, that's why I think it's huge for USC to really get this win, to that way they can get the only have to play twice to win the tournament title and secure the automatic bid. So men's swim and dive had their NCAA championships from Wednesday through Saturday down in Atlanta, and they came in 14th overall and highlighted from a 8th place finish from Laurent Gosselin Paradis, who finished 8th and then advanced into the evening session. But ultimately, congrats to them for finishing for 14th place and 69 points in the team standings, and second consecutive season, which they finished in the top 15. So congrats to the men's swim and dive program. That brings their season to an end. Now move on to track and field, whose outdoor season started at home this over the week on Friday, Saturday with the Ron and Charlene Alice Trojan invite from on Friday and Saturday, and USC got 18 events wins, 9 on the men's side, 9 on the women's. And up next to them will be LSU Battle on the Bayou. That'll be on Friday and Saturday this weekend. So an opportunity for USC to shine and keep things going strong. Rowing, meanwhile, took part in the San Diego Crew Classic at Crown Point Park. That was on Saturday and Sunday, highlighted by a performance from the with the third varsity 8 placing second in the finals of the weekend. So best of luck to rowing as they now move on to the Rocky Top invite at Oak Ridge in Tennessee. That'll be hosted by the Volunteers, and that'll be this Friday and Saturday. So best of luck to rowing, and I'm forever gonna remember that time they put me in the boat. That was quite the time. We move on to men's tennis now, who lost 4-3 to Michigan State on Friday. USC got the doubles point, but then only Connor Church and Jack McCarthy got singles wins for the Trojans. But then USC followed that up with a 4-1 win over at Michigan on yesterday, where the Trojans got the doubles points and singles wins from Max Ekstead, Andrew Casanova, and Connor Church. So the Trojans now sit at 13-5 on the year and 5-2 in Big Ten play. So up next, USC comes back home to take on Penn State on Friday at 4 p.m. and Ohio State on Saturday at 1 p.m. So both can be watched on USC Play Site. So USC has a couple tough opponents coming to town this week. And Penn State is 14-8 on the year and 2-5 in Big Ten play. Ohio State 19-3 on the year, 6-1 in conference play. Women's tennis got a 4-2 win against UCLA on Friday. UCLA got the doubles points, but USC got singles wins from Jana Haas and Eugenia Zozaya, Emma Charney, and Danny Boruel. So the Trojans sit at 13-5 on the season and 6-1 in Big Ten play. Up next, USC stays home and will take on Washington on Friday at noon and Oregon on Saturday at 1. Both matches can be watched on USC Play Site. The Huskies are 15-1 on the season and 6-1 in conference. Oregon is 11-8 on the year and 2-5 in Big Ten play. So USC stays home for another week, an opportunity to get some big wins as the season starts to wind down. Men's golf finished 13th of 16th at the Valspar Collegiate Invitational at the Floridian National Golf Club in Palm City, which was hosted by University of Houston. That was last Monday, Tuesday. They went 14 under par, 838 total scores. And the individual scores were Jaden Demdemaya finishing 12 under par, 201 total score. Jack Buchanan tied 34th, 3 under par, 210 total score. Tied 51st, Luke Stock, even 0, 213 total score. Tied 55th, Antonio Safa, 1 over par, 214 total score. And 82nd was Radkov Gulati, 14 over par, 227 total. And then up next for them, they have the Wyoming Cowboy Classic tomorrow, hosted by Wyoming. It's a one-day event for the Trojans, and their lineup has already been set. They got Jaden Demdemaya at 1, Jack Buchanan, Luke Stock, Antonio Safa, and Rukov Gulati. So only 2 more events before the Big Ten Championships. Then women's golf, meanwhile, finished 16th at the Ping ASU Invitational, or finished first of 16 at the Ping ASU Invitational at Papago Golf Club in Phoenix on Monday, Tuesday. Catherine Park. So it's their 4th straight win for the program. Tournament win. Catherine Park finishing tied 2nd, 7 under par, 209 total score. Tied 8th was Elise Lee, Bailey Shoemaker, and Kylie Chong, all going 4 under par, 212 total score. Tied 31st was Sarah Hammett, playing as an independent, went 4 over par, 220 total score, and Jasmine Koo finished 2 under par with a 142 total score, but had to withdraw after the end of the second day. So her score did not register. So 4 straight wins. And up next for USC is the players going to do the Augusta Women's Amateur. That'll be from Wednesday through Saturday. And then the Chevron Silverado Showdown, hosted by Colorado and Napa, from April 6th through 8th. So the final 2 events before Big Ten Championships. So best luck to women's golf. Meanwhile, little update from women's volleyball, who had the Big Ten announce the Big Ten SEC Volleyball Challenge Week to open up the 2026 women's volleyball season. So as part of that, USC will head to Austin to face Texas on September 2nd as part of the challenge. So it should be a really exciting match. USC hasn't played Texas since 2024. When the Trojans went to Austin for the second round of the NCAA tournament and were swept. Obviously, Jarrett Elliott has a great squad and made it all the way. Did really well last year going. So it should be a great game for USC fans. And then, really just excited for this, especially with how much just interest there's been in women's volleyball over as of late, especially in the last few years. Texas last year going 26-4 overall, 13-2 in the SEC, making it all the way to the Elite Eight before falling to Wisconsin in 4. So just really good team that Jarrett Elliott has put together, and they've been consistent, just won multiple national titles under him. So really excited for just what's to come on September 2nd. So definitely one that I'm definitely going to be eyeing. Probably can't go, but definitely want to watch it if I can. So it should be on either like ESPN or Fox or just one of those conference media partners. So see how it goes. But really excited for this challenge. And I think you can just see, the excitement in the statements that have been put out by the programs. I think especially about Tony Petiti and Greg Sankey. So I think that's really, and then so really excited for this challenge and just to watch all this great volleyball. It's really fun to just watch volleyball, especially early in the season and in the postseason. So definitely should check it out if y'all can. So that's pretty much everything going on for us here Behind the Caution Tape. Last week, with that game that I went to in South Carolina, did add to it. So I was 0-1 last week. So that puts me at 46, 18-1 on the season, 357, 137-1 all time. And I finished the women's basketball season going 8-6 overall, or 8-6 this season. So definitely a bit of a tough year, like I said, but still excited. If anything changes, I can make it to anything. I will be sure to let y'all know, announce it here, and then also post the game day graphics up on my Instagram. So that's going to do it for us here on Behind the Caution Tape. Be sure to check out my merch, link in the description below. And be sure to follow me on social media at CrashLit. Subscribe to the podcast. Leave a review. Leave a like. Give me a thumbs up. Show some love. It means the world to me. I thank everybody for all your support and love as I've been doing this podcast. We're going to keep doing this. I love y'all. And of course, as always, fight on.